First of all, obviously for our guys to be able to come in here and with a team as good as Fran has, to be able to play and answer them punch for punch, so to speak, I thought really showed the maturity of our guys, of how they've grown over the last, whatever it's been, 60, 70, 80 days since December 16th when I took over. You know, we didn't play as good as we can play, but I think we were able to find enough answers, and especially off our bench. It was phenomenal tonight, the boost that they gave. And obviously I've got terrific leadership in Nigel Hayes and Bronson Koenig, Zach Showalter, and Vito Brown, excuse me, those 4 juniors that have tried to help and tried to lead those younger guys as we've gone through this transition. So with that, I'll take any questions you guys have.
Greg was talking about it before, but what about where did this team get the toughest down the stretch that it's developed?
Well, I think it's been growing. We make practices pretty tough. We do some things drill-wise that are pretty tough, and they've really, because I knew we had to make it one step at a time in our development back in December. We've taken the mantra of one play at a time, one drill at a time, one day at a time, and really it boils down to when we get in these type of environments, it needs to be one possession at a time, and they really don't get caught up in the scoreboard. When Iowa made the run in the first half and then again in the second half, we needed to be better offensively, and that's why I took the timeout, because the first 4 possessions were not very good. But they've just, they understand who they are. They play within their character and their identity for the most part pretty well. And we've got guys that aren't afraid of the moment. They really kind of thrive in these situations. They block out the crowd and they just like to line it up and play.
Greg, different setting that you played from in front at Maryland, but the ability to make plays in a tight game, any similarities to tonight? You having to come from behind a little bit.
Well, I think we've gotten so many contributions from so many places. With Hap being in foul trouble tonight, Showalter in foul trouble, and he actually tweaked an ankle today and shoot around. I don't know how. He tripped over a line or something because there was no contact, but he was a little gimpy. And so for Iverson and Hill, and then Charlie Thomas to come in when he had not played on the regular group all week. He had been with the scout team, simulating Woodbury. We've just continued to find a way and continue to find guys that step up. And like I said, they're not concerned with who gets the points. Obviously, we understand whose strengths are where, and they play to them, and they listen, and they work. Every time out they were attentive. We were tweaking some things here and there offensively and trying to get better shots. And then they got to make shots. I mean, to come in this environment and be able to, like I said, answer it possession for possession. We hit big shots at key times.
You said you didn't play as well as you can. I'm assuming you're referring to keeping them off the glass and maybe keeping them off the free throw line?
Yeah, both. I thought the first half we fouled too much, and we gave up too much in transition. Some of it was our undoing in terms of what we did with the ball offensively, turning it over, taking a not so highly advised shot. I thought we were better, a little bit better in the second half, even though at the start we were a little wobbly. But I think, for the most part, we did what we needed to do. What I mean by not play as well, this team can get so much better yet. I don't think with having no seniors out there, a lot of these guys are going through this for the first time. Obviously, Nigel and Bronson have had a lot more experience, but they haven't had the experience of sitting in the seats they're sitting in now, meaning at the front of our bus, so to speak, with leading this team. So that's been the neat thing to watch evolve as they've, obviously our young guys grow, and a lot's made about those guys off the bench, but our upperclassmen have grown too. And they're assuming new roles that those guys from last year left behind for them, big shoes to fill, and they've done a good job of creating their own identity with this team. We haven't worried about what has happened in the past. We've had a tremendous respect for what has been accomplished in this program in the past, but we also know we have to continue to move forward and forge our own identity.
What were you able to do to bother Utah throughout and Jock in the second half?
Well, I think, we did a decent job on him. So I started with Hap on him just because I wanted a little more size, and then it also allowed me to put more size on to Peter with having Nigel guard him. I think both Jared and Peter are terrific players. I mean, I know Peter had 17 and a half, and I wasn't really happy with that, but at the same time, he had 17, and we were able to somewhat contain Utah and have him in foul trouble. So, I think defensively we've gotten better. I think we're better at protecting the rim. We weren't good early, but we got better as the game went on. And I think we really made them work. And I think also our offense has started to evolve to help our defense. You know, we're getting better offensively, and we're becoming more difficult to guard. We're becoming more multidimensional. So we put a lot of stress on teams on their defensive end, which hopefully impacts what they can do offensively.
Talk a little bit about the, you talked about the leadership that you have on your team. How do they help out Ethan Happ, and how does Ethan Happ help out them? How does that work?
Well, I mean, everything, I've always been a believer of that we can talk a lot about leadership, and we can talk about past experiences, and obviously Ethan went head-to-head with Frank Kaminsky last year every day in practice, and he learned a lot there. But the greatest teacher of all, whether it's leadership or anything on the floor, is experience. So for these guys to grow over the last, couple, 2.5 months, it's been the experience that's helped them. Obviously I've tried to point them in the right direction, but they're the ones that have really taken hold of this thing and continue to grow, and we've had to talk about those type of things in terms of leadership, of how to be a good leader. And a lot of it's by example. A lot of it's by, forming good habits and being held accountable every day. So those things, I think, for the younger guys, or I should say younger guys, Hayes and Koenig, that haven't been in that role before, it had taken them a little while to grow into that, and we're not there yet. I mean, we can still get a lot better in areas, and they can become better leaders, and they will as they continue to grow.
Kind of a follow-up, how has Ethan Happ progressed experience-wise?
Well, he's taken advantage of his opportunities. I think that's the best thing you can say, that he's matured a lot. I thought he really, and here recently too, because I thought he really played well the second half of the Michigan State game a week ago, and he really played well, Sunday against Illinois. And with a young player, you always worry about inconsistency, being up and down a little bit, and he struggled and has gone through that this year, which is normal. The biggest thing that sometimes that I always tell Ethan, his worst enemy is himself. That he's got to continue to fight through his questioning himself and continue to play as he's capable of playing. I've even held a mirror up to him at times and said, "You know who the best defender is on you, Ethan? Look in the mirror. It's you." So he's really matured and understanding now what it takes on a consistent level, and he's become a better practice player, and I think it's shown on the floor.
Greg,
Let's take one more.
you guys were down 6 points 3 different times in the second half. Where has your team learned or acquired the poise to come back on the road against a team like this and fight back that many times?
Well, we try not to make a big deal being on the road. We just talk about it's a 94 by 50 sheet of wood, and we go play, and those 15,000 fans can't play defense or can't shoot or can't score. So we try to really block that out. I think we've benefited from what the older guys have been through in the past. There's no doubt. Hayes and Koenig and Showalter and Brown, even though they haven't played the minutes, Hayes and Koenig have been in some tough environments in key moments at times, and their ability to stay calm in those situations, I think, permeates through the rest of the group. And we do try to do a lot of teaching and instructing during those timeouts, and just understand it's on to the next possession no matter what's happened, positively or negatively, and we know it's on to next. And if this one didn't go well, we'll be better on the next one, and just continue to string those together. And I think once you keep it in that framework, for young people, they understand. I always talked about the process and not get so consumed with results and what the scoreboard says, meaning how we prepare every day, how we go through every drill. And I think that's how that mindset has carried over to how we play games. Don't worry about what the scoreboard says. Just continue to follow the process, one possession at a time. And if we do things the right way, the scoreboard will usually end up in our favor.
Thanks, Coach.
Anything else? Thank you.